I'm Helena Vieira Carter. I was once the daughter of a billionaire, the wife of a con man, and the mother of a kidnapped child. I spent 10 years in hiding, nearly died at gunpoint, and fought my way back, all for my daughter. But the most unexpected part? The very love I feared ended up saving me.
Before I share my full story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, especially if you've ever had to go beyond your limits for family.
The antiseptic smell of Phoenix General Hospital had become my second skin after 12 years of nursing. 6 months pregnant, I still pulled double shifts, my scrubs stretching tight across my belly. Matt always said I worked too hard, that I should take it easy. I believed him. I believed everything he said. That Tuesday evening changed everything. I'd finished my rounds early, my feet swollen and back aching. The break room was empty. Most of the night shift hadn't arrived yet. I was reaching for my jacket when I heard Matt's voice drifting from the supply closet. He must have thought the wing was deserted. "Danica, baby, listen to me." His voice was low, urgent, different from how he spoke to me. "Helena's just a stepping stone. Once the baby comes, I'll have established residency rights. Her father left her something, I know it. Rich people always do." My hand froze on the door handle. My wedding ring caught the fluorescent light, the modest diamond he'd chosen because true love doesn't need grand gestures. "6 more months," he continued. "Maybe 8. I'll milk whatever inheritance she's hiding, then we can finally be together. You, me, and Caden." Caden? Who was Caden? I pressed my back against the wall, my hand instinctively cradling my stomach. The baby kicked, as if sensing my distress. "Stop crying," Matt said, his tone softening. "You know I love you. Helena means nothing. She's just convenient, lonely, desperate for family after her dad died. It was almost too easy." The supply closet door opened. I ducked into the nearest patient room, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might burst. Through the crack in the door, I watched my husband of 3 years stride down the hallway, checking his phone with a satisfied smile. I slumped onto the empty hospital bed, my whole body trembling. The man I'd built my life with, who knew about my morning sickness, who'd painted the nursery soft yellow last weekend, had another family, another life. And I was just a convenience. But he was wrong about one thing. I wasn't desperate because my father died. I was hiding because he did. 10 years ago, when Marcus Vieira's private jet exploded over the Atlantic, the media called it justice. The billionaire who'd allegedly orchestrated the largest Ponzi scheme in Arizona history was gone, taking his secrets with him. What they didn't know was that he was innocent. The real perpetrators had murdered him and disappeared with millions, leaving behind falsified evidence. I'd spent a decade as Helena Carter, middle-class nurse, instead of Helena Vieira Carter, sole heir to a frozen fortune worth hundreds of millions. The courts had sealed everything pending investigation. I'd buried my identity to stay alive, convinced the killers would come for me next. Now, listening to my husband plan my disposal like I was yesterday's trash, I realized I'd been so focused on hiding from my father's killers that I'd walked straight into the arms of a different kind of predator. The baby kicked again, harder this time. My daughter, Matt's daughter. The child he was already planning to abandon or use as leverage. I stood up slowly, my reflection catching in the dark window. The woman staring back looked tired, worn down, ordinary. She looked like someone easy to deceive, easy to discard. But she wasn't. Not anymore. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a number I hadn't dialed in 10 years. Gerald Hoffman, my father's lawyer, the only person who knew where Helena Vieira had disappeared to. "Gerald, it's me." My voice was steady, cold. "I need you to recommend a private investigator, the best you know. And Gerald, it's time to start the process of unfreezing my father's assets." "Helena, are you sure? The risks?" "The risks have already found me," I said, watching a pregnant woman waddle past in the hallway, her husband's arm protective around her shoulders. The tenderness in his eyes was real. Nothing like the calculated affection I'd mistaken for love. I just didn't recognize them. I've spent 10 years hiding from ghosts while a real threat shared my bed. I hung up and walked back to the break room, where my jacket waited. The woman who forgot she was a queen was finally ready to remember. Matt would learn soon enough that convenient doesn't mean powerless. And desperate? The only desperate one would be him. The private investigator Gerald recommended was a woman named Chen Wei, a former FBI agent who specialized in financial crimes. We met at a small cafe in Scottsdale, far from the hospital and Matt's usual haunts. Your husband isn't who he claims to be, Chen said, sliding a manila folder across the table. Her voice was matter of fact, as if destroying worlds was routine. Matthew Pierce died in a car accident in Ohio 12 years ago. Your husband assumed his identity, social security number, the works. I stared at the death certificate, my decaf latte growing cold. Even his name was a lie. His real name is Martin Prochaska, Chen continued. And yes, he's still legally married to Danica Prochaska. They have an 8-year-old son named Caden. The divorce papers he showed you? Forgeries? 8 years. Caden was 8, which meant when Matt, Martin, was wooing me with flowers and poetry, he had a kindergartner at home. There's more, Chen said gently. He and Danica have been running insurance scams at 3 different hospitals. Fake injuries, fraudulent billing codes, phantom medical supplies that get sold on the black market. Your position as a senior nurse gave him perfect cover. My hand went to my stomach. The baby had been quiet all morning, as if she too was processing betrayal. What do you need from me? I asked. Access to his computer, financial records, anything that... Done. I pulled out a flash drive. I copied everything last night while he was sleeping. 5 years of files. Chen's eyebrows rose slightly, the first emotion she'd shown. You work fast. I've had practice hiding things, I said. Now I'm learning to expose them. That evening, I returned home to find Matt cooking dinner. The smell of rosemary chicken filled our small rental house. The same meal he'd made on our first anniversary. He smiled when he saw me. That boyish grin that used to make my heart flutter. Hey, beautiful, how was your day? Long, I said, hanging up my coat with deliberate calm. Mrs. Patterson in 302 coded twice. We got her back, though. My hero, he said, pulling me close. His hand settled on my belly. How's our little princess? Our. The word tasted like ash. Active, I managed. She's been kicking all day. That's my girl, strong like her mama. He kissed my forehead. I've been thinking, maybe we should look at life insurance policies. You know, now that we're about to be parents. Of course he had. Sure, I said, pulling away to wash my hands. Whatever you think is best. The next few weeks became a careful dance. I played the devoted, trusting wife while documenting everything. Every receipt he threw away, I retrieved. Every phone call he made, I recorded. Every time he left for his evening shifts at the hospital, I knew he was driving to Sedona, to his real family. My neighbor, Gus, a 70-something Vietnam vet who lived 2 doors down, started noticing things too. That husband of yours sure works a lot of nights, he said one morning, watering his xeriscaped garden. Funny thing is, I called the hospital looking for him last week when my back was acting up. They said he wasn't scheduled. I forced a laugh. Must have been a mix-up with the schedule. Gus's weathered face was skeptical. Helena, I've seen mix-ups, and I've seen men who step out on pregnant wives. You need anything? Anything at all? You knock on my door. That night, I found Matt in the garage, loading boxes into his truck. Spring cleaning? I asked. He startled, nearly dropping a box marked medical supplies. Just some outdated inventory from the hospital, taking it to be properly disposed of. I recognized the labels. Those supplies weren't outdated. They were the expensive surgical instruments that had gone missing from the hospital last month. Chen had been right about the theft ring. Want help? I offered. No. He caught himself, smiled. I mean, you should be resting. Doctor's orders, remember? I nodded, playing the obedient wife. You're right. I'll go lie down. But I didn't rest. I called Chen and gave her the license plate number of the truck, the disposal company name on Matt's fake uniform. By morning, the FBI would have everything they needed. As I lay in bed that night, Matt's arm heavy across my waist, I thought about Danica. Did she know her husband was a bigamist? Was she victim or accomplice? The baby kicked hard against my ribs as if demanding justice. Soon, little one, I promised. Soon, Daddy will learn what happens when you underestimate a queen in hiding. Following Matt to Sedona was easier than I'd expected. He thought I was at my weekly prenatal yoga class. Instead, I sat in a rental car outside a modest adobe house, watching my husband live his other life. The front door opened and a boy ran out. Dark hair like Matt's, same crooked smile. Caden, my baby's half-brother. Matt scooped him up, spinning him around as the child shrieked with laughter. The sound pierced something deep in my chest. Then she appeared. Danica was beautiful in an exhausted way. Auburn hair pulled back, one hand resting on her own pregnant belly. Very pregnant. Further along than me. "Careful with him, Marty," she called. "He just ate." Marty. Not Matt. Not even Martin. Another name, another lie. I watched them through the kitchen window as they ate dinner together. A normal family. Matt helped Caden with homework while Danica cleared dishes, her movements slow and careful. At one point, Matt stood behind her, hands gentle on her stomach, and I saw her face light up with the same joy I'd felt when he'd done that to me just this morning. The parallel cruelty of it took my breath away. My phone buzzed. "Chen. Got the warrant. Moving tomorrow. You safe?" I typed back. "Watching the show. He has a whole life here. Document everything. Photos, if you can." I raised my phone, but my hand shook too badly. The baby moved restlessly, responding to my distress. I set the phone down and just watched, memorizing every detail for the court case ahead. When Matt finally left, kissing his son's forehead, embracing his real wife, I followed at a distance. But instead of heading home to Phoenix, he stopped at a storage unit facility. I parked across the street and watched him unload the medical supplies from the hospital. My phone rang. Matt's ringtone. I let it go to voicemail. "Hey, babe. Yoga ran late. I picked up Thai food from that place you love. Extra mild, just how my girls like it." His voice was warm, concerned. "Drive safe. Love you." My girls. Plural. At least he included our daughter in his lies. The next morning, I woke to find Matt already gone. A note on the kitchen counter. "Early surgery. Love you both. M." I called in sick to work and drove back to the storage facility. The lock was a simple combination, Matt's arrogance showing. He'd used Caden's birthday, which I'd found in the documents Chen uncovered. Inside, medical equipment worth hundreds of thousands filled the space. Surgical instruments, medications, even an ultrasound machine. All reported stolen from various hospitals across the state. I took photos of everything, my hands steady now. This wasn't just infidelity or bigamy. This was a federal crime. That evening, I found Gus on his porch, cleaning an old rifle. "Gus," I said quietly, "I might need that help you offered." His hand stilled. "When?" "Soon, maybe tomorrow." He nodded once. "I'll be watching." That night, Matt came home with roses. Red ones, the kind I'd carried at our wedding. "What's the occasion?" I asked, accepting them with a smile that felt like broken glass. "Can't a man spoil his wife?" He pulled me close, hand splaying across my belly. "Been thinking about names. What about Sarah? After your mother?" My mother had died when I was 12. He knew that, had held me while I cried about missing her, and now he wanted to name our daughter, the one he planned to abandon, after her. "It's beautiful," I whispered. Helena." His voice turned serious. "I need to ask you something. Your father, did he leave anything? Any accounts? Property? I'm trying to plan for our future. Make sure you and Sarah are protected if anything happens to me." There it was, the fishing expedition I'd been waiting for. "Just some photos," I lied. "A few personal items. The lawyers said any money went to pay his victims." His face fell slightly before he caught himself. "Of course. I just wanted to make sure you weren't dealing with any financial stress alone." "You take such good care of us," I said, the words like poison on my tongue. That night, as Matt slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling and thought about kingdoms built on lies. My father had been accused of building one. Matt had actually done it. Tomorrow, both kingdoms would fall. But only one deserved to. The Arizona Medical Association's annual conference was held at the Phoenician Resort, all marble and desert elegance. Matt had been preening for weeks about his Innovation in Medical Technology award. I'd pressed his suit myself that morning, kissing him goodbye with lips that felt numb. "You sure you're feeling up to coming?" he'd asked, concerned about my 8 months pregnant waddle. "Wouldn't miss it," I'd promised. Now I stood in the bathroom of the presidential suite I'd rented, transforming from Helena Carter back into Helena Vieira Carter. The designer dress, pulled from storage where I'd hidden my old life, still fit perfectly over my bump. The jewelry my mother had left me caught the light like captured stars. Chen knocked. "They're all in position. FBI, state police, even hospital security. You ready?" I looked at my reflection. The tired nurse was gone. In her place stood someone I'd almost forgotten existed, Someone with my father's sharp eyes and my mother's steel spine. 10 years of hiding, I said. Yes, I'm ready to be seen. The ballroom buzzed with medical professionals congratulating themselves. I spotted Matt near the stage, laughing with the hospital administrators he'd been stealing from. Danica stood beside him in a floral dress, her pregnancy beautifully obvious. They'd brought Caden, who fidgeted in his tiny suit. The sight of them together, the complete family, should have destroyed me. Instead, I felt a strange calm. They were victims too, in their way. I waited until Matt's name was called, until he stood at the podium with his false, humble smile, thanking everyone who'd helped him succeed. But most of all, he said, finding my eyes in the crowd, I want to thank my beautiful wife, Helena, who couldn't be here tonight due to our upcoming audition. That was my cue. I stood up from my table in the back, my movement drawing eyes. Whispers started as people recognized the clothes, the jewelry, the bearing of someone raised with billions. Actually, I said, my voice carrying clearly, I'm right here. Matt's face went white. The microphone caught his sharp intake of breath. I walked down the center aisle, my heels clicking against marble, photographers automatically turning their cameras my way. The whispers grew louder. Someone gasped, Is that the Vieira heiress? Please, I said, reaching the stage. Don't let me interrupt. Though I should clarify, which wife were you thanking? The pregnant one in the audience or the pregnant one walking toward you? Danica shot to her feet, hand over her mouth. Caden grabbed her dress, confused. Matt tried to recover. Helena, honey, you're confused. The pregnancy, the hormones. Martin, I said clearly. Or do you prefer Marty? I know Matt Pierce prefers being dead. The FBI agents moved in then, swift and professional. Matt, Martin, tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. As they cuffed him, I pulled out my phone and connected it to the AV system Chen had prepared. The screen behind us lit up with evidence. Storage unit photos, falsified medical records, financial transfers, the fake divorce papers, his real marriage certificate to Danica. 10 million in stolen medical equipment, I narrated calmly as the room watched in stunned silence. Insurance fraud across 3 states, identity theft, bigamy, and attempting to con the daughter of Marcus Vieira, who, for the record, was murdered by his business partners for refusing to participate in their Ponzi scheme. Matt stared at me as the agents led him past. Helena, please, the baby will grow up knowing her mother didn't let her father make them both victims, I finished. Danica stood frozen, tears streaming. Caden clung to her, crying. My heart broke for them, truly broke. They didn't deserve this. I walked over to her. I'm sorry, I said quietly. You and Caden are victims too. There are resources, lawyers who will help. You'll get through this. She looked at me. This woman who'd unknowingly shared my husband who carried his child just as I did. Did you know, all this time? 6 weeks, I admitted. I found out 6 weeks ago. Why didn't you just leave? I thought of all the reasons. Justice, revenge, protecting others. But the truest one was simpler. Because I'd been running for 10 years, I said. I was tired of letting fear choose my life. The next day, every news outlet carried the story. Billionaire heiress reveals husband's double life. The queen who remembered her crown. Medical equipment theft ring exposed by pregnant nurse. I reclaimed my name, my inheritance, and most importantly, my power to choose who I trusted. 2 years later, I stood in my daughter's nursery in New Hampshire, watching snow fall outside floor-to-ceiling windows. Ava gurgled in my arms, reaching for the light patterns the crystals made. We'd left Arizona's heat for somewhere that felt clean, new, untouched by old betrayals. Ma, Ava babbled, tugging at my hair. That's right, sweet girl. Just you and Mama. The Vieira Carter Group headquarters took up 3 floors of a restored mill building in Manchester. I'd moved the entire operation, leaving behind the Phoenix offices where my father had built his empire. Here, I could reshape it into something honest. My assistant knocked. Ms. Carter, the quarterly reports, and there's another letter from that tech CEO. Julian Reeves? I recognized the name. My father had mentioned him once, a brilliant young engineer he'd wanted to partner with before everything fell apart. His letters had been arriving weekly, each one requesting a meeting about urgent matters regarding your father's unfinished business. File it with the others, I said, bouncing Ava as she fussed. But that afternoon, while Ava napped, I found myself reading his latest letter. Helena, I know you have no reason to trust anyone reaching out about your father. But Marcus saved my company once. He believed in sustainable technology before it was profitable. There are forces moving against Vieira Carter Group, the same people who destroyed your father. Your cousin Robert is not who you think he is. Please, one meeting. Julian Reeves. I'd promoted Robert to CFO 6 months ago. He was family, one of the few who'd stood by me during the scandal. The suggestion that he might betray me felt like another blow to my already fragile ability to trust. That evening, my head of security called. Ma'am, we've detected some irregularities in the financial access logs. Someone's been copying files after hours. My stomach dropped. Not again. Who? The access codes trace back to the executive level. We're still investigating. I hung up and walked to Ava's room. She slept peacefully, tiny fist curled against her cheek. She looked like me, nothing of her father in her features. A small mercy. I'll protect you, I whispered, from all of it. The next morning, Julian Reeves stood in my office. He was younger than I'd expected, early 30s with kind eyes behind wire-rim glasses. Nothing about him screamed threat, but I'd learned not to trust appearances. 5 minutes, I said. He pulled out a tablet showing financial models I recognized. Your father and I were developing a clean energy grid system. Revolutionary stuff. He died before we could implement it, but the patents should have passed to you. They did. We're reviewing all of his projects. Helena. His voice was urgent but gentle. Robert sold the patents 3 months ago to a shell company owned by the same people who orchestrated your father's murder. The room tilted. I gripped my desk. That's impossible. Those sales would need my signature. He pulled up documents. My signature stared back at me. Forged, but expertly done. He's been bleeding the company slowly, Julian continued, making it look like bad investments. In another year, Vieira Carter would be bankrupt, and they'd swoop in to buy the assets, including your father's real legacy, technology that could revolutionize renewable energy. I thought of Robert at family dinners, playing with Ava, telling me I worked too hard. Another performance. Another betrayal. Why should I trust you? I asked. You shouldn't, he said simply. But you can verify everything I've shown you. And Helena, I'm not asking for anything. No money, no position. I owed your father. He was a good man who got caught in bad circumstances. His work deserves to see the light. That night, I called my security team and lawyers, setting investigations in motion. Everything Julian had said checked out. Robert had been systematically destroying my father's company while smiling at family gatherings. Ava woke crying at 3 a.m. As I fed her, I wondered if I'd ever stop finding snakes in my garden, if I'd ever be able to look at someone's kindness without searching for the knife behind their back. Uncle Julian wants to help, I told her sleepily, but Mama doesn't know how to let anyone help anymore. She looked at me with solemn baby eyes as if she understood, as if she was already learning that love was something dangerous, something that could turn on you when you least expected it. The fortress I'd built around us felt both protective and suffocating, but I didn't know how to tear it down without risking everything all over again. Over the next 6 months, Julian became a constant presence in our lives, though always at professional arm's length. He helped me unravel Robert's theft, recover the patents, and stabilize the company. He never pushed, never presumed, just offered steady support. Ava adored him immediately. Up, up, she'd demand whenever he visited the office, and he'd lift her high, making airplane noises while she shrieked with joy. I'd watch from my desk, something painful and sweet twisting in my chest. You're good with her, I said one afternoon as he helped Ava stack blocks in the corner play area I'd set up. I have 3 younger sisters, he explained, carefully balancing a blue block on top of her wobbly tower. Plus, Ava's easy to love. The words were simple, but they hit me like a physical blow. Love. So easy for some people to say, to give, to trust in. Julian, I started, but Ava chose that moment to knock over the tower, laughing as blocks scattered. Uncle Jules, she cried, her pronunciation clear enough to understand. My heart stopped. She'd never called anyone uncle before. He froze too, looking at me uncertainly. I'm sorry, I didn't teach her that. It's fine, I lied, busying myself with paperwork. She picks things up everywhere. But it wasn't fine. Ava had decided Julian belonged in our lives, and I didn't know how to protect her from the inevitable disappointment when he showed his true motives. The breaking point came during a board meeting 3 weeks later. We were presenting the recovered clean energy project to investors when the conference room doors burst open. A man in a ski mask raised a gun, pointing it directly at me. "Marcus Vieira's daughter dies today," he snarled. Time slowed. I saw my death in his eyes, saw Ava growing up without me. Then Julian moved, pushing me down as the gun fired. The bullet meant for my head shattered the window behind us. Security swarmed in, tackling the gunman. Julian held me down, his body a shield over mine until they gave the all-clear. Only then did I see the blood spreading across his shirt. "You're hit!" I gasped. "Just a graze," he said, though his face was pale. "Are you okay? He passed out before finishing. At the hospital, I paced the waiting room like a caged animal. The police said the shooter was connected to the same network that killed my father, hired by someone who wanted me dead before I could expose more of their crimes. "He saved your life," the detective said. "Didn't even hesitate." But why? What did Julian want badly enough to take a bullet for me? When he woke, I was ready with accusations. "What's your angle?" I demanded. "What do you want? Money? The company? Just tell me." He blinked at me, confused and hurt. "Helena, don't. Everyone wants something. Matt wanted money and cover for his crimes. Robert wanted the company. What's your price?" He struggled to sit up, wincing. "You really want to know what I want?" "Yes. I want Ava to grow up with a mother who isn't terrified of the world. I want you to stop looking over your shoulder every second. I want to see you smile, really smile, not the fake one you use in meetings." His voice grew quiet. "I want to earn the right to be in your lives, whatever that looks like. But not because I want something from you, because you both deserve to be happy." I stared at him, waiting for the catch, the manipulation, the lie. "I should go," I said finally. "Ava needs me." "Helena!" His voice stopped me at the door. "I'm not him. I'm not any of them." I fled without answering. For the next year, I pushed Julian away. I hired new security, moved houses, changed routines, but somehow he was always there, in the background, watching. When Ava got sick with pneumonia, flowers appeared at the hospital. When someone slashed my tires, my car was mysteriously fixed before I could call for help. When reporters ambushed us at the park, security appeared to escort them away. "Why doesn't Uncle Jules visit anymore?" Ava asked one night, clutching the stuffed elephant he'd given her. "He's busy, sweetheart." Did I do something bad? My heart shattered. "No, baby, never." "Then why doesn't he love us anymore?" I held her tight, unable to answer. Because the truth, that I was too broken to let him, seemed worse than any lie I could tell. I'd built our new life like a fortress. Private security, gated community, vetted staff. Every person who entered our sphere was background checked, monitored, analyzed for threats. I thought I'd covered every angle. I was wrong. It happened on a Tuesday. Ava's preschool was having a nature day at a local reserve. 15 kids, 3 teachers, 2 parent volunteers, and 4 security guards. Overkill maybe, but I didn't care. I was in a board meeting when my phone rang. Ava's teacher, hysterical. "She's gone. Ava's gone. She was right there, and then..." The world ended, just like that, between one breath and the next. The police said she'd been playing near the butterfly garden when she vanished. No signs of struggle. The security cameras showed nothing. They'd been disabled remotely. Professional work. "We'll find her," the FBI agent promised. The same agent who'd arrested Matt 3 years ago. "We have everyone looking." But I knew better. I knew how easy it was for people to disappear. I'd done it myself for 10 years. The ransom call came 6 hours later. Not money. They wanted me to transfer the clean energy patents to an offshore company. The same patents Julian had helped me recover. The technology my father died protecting. "You have 24 hours, the distorted voice said, "or you'll never see her again." I would have signed anything, given everything, but my lawyers warned that the transfer would take at least 48 hours to process legally. "Then forge it!" I screamed. "I don't care about patents or money or any of it." That's when Julian appeared at my door. I hadn't seen him in almost a year, but he looked like he'd aged 5. Without a word, he pulled me into his arms, and I broke completely. "We'll find her," he whispered into my hair. "I promise you, Helena, we'll find her." "How?" I sobbed. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. So do I. He pulled back, his eyes hard. I've been tracking this network since they tried to kill you. I have resources, contacts. But Helena, you have to trust me. Trust. That word again. I'll do anything, I said. He made calls, speaking in languages I didn't recognize. Within hours, a team assembled in my living room. People who looked like ghosts, who moved like shadows. Not FBI, not police. Something else entirely. Your father helped extract my family from Belarus, one of them explained. We owe a debt. They worked through the night, tracking digital footprints, analyzing the disabled security footage with software I'd never seen. Julian never left my side, holding my hand when I shook, making me eat when I couldn't remember food existed. At dawn, he stood abruptly. I know where she is. The warehouse sat on the outskirts of Nashua, abandoned and rusting. Julian wanted me to stay in the car, but I couldn't. I had to be there when they found her. What happened next was a blur. Julian's team moved like smoke. There were sounds, shouting, running, a single gunshot. Then Julian emerged from a side door, Ava crying in his arms. Mama! She reached for me, dirty and scared but whole, alive. I crushed her to me, sobbing into her tangled hair. I'm here, baby. Mama's here. Uncle Jules found me, she hiccuped. The bad men said you didn't want me anymore, but Uncle Jules said that was a lie. He said you'd never stop looking for me. I looked up at Julian. His shirt was torn, knuckles bloody, a new cut across his cheek. He'd fought for her, bled for her, for us. Thank you, I whispered. He touched Ava's head gently, then stepped back. Always stepping back. Always giving me space I'd demanded but no longer wanted. That night, after police statements and medical checks, after Ava finally fell asleep in my bed, I found Julian on my porch. He was staring at the stars, shoulders slumped with exhaustion. You're always here, I said, even when I push you away. Someone needs to be. Why? I had to know. Why us? Why do you care so much? He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because I know what it's like to lose everything. My parents, my home, my country. Your father didn't just save my company, Helena. He saved my family. Gave us a chance when no one else would. He turned to me. And because somewhere along the way I fell in love with your daughter's laugh, with your strength, with the way you fight for what matters even when you're terrified. I am terrified, I admitted. All the time. I know, he said simply. But you don't have to be alone in it anymore. For the first time in years, I let someone in. Julian didn't move into our lives all at once. He came for Sunday dinners, taught Ava to ride her bike, fixed the leaky faucet I'd been ignoring. Small things that slowly rebuilt my ability to trust. Why does Uncle Jules go home at night? Ava asked one evening, watching his car disappear down our driveway. Because he has his own house, I explained, braiding her hair for bed. That's stupid, she declared with 5-year-old certainty. He should live here. Then he could read me stories every night. My hands stilled. Would you like that? Duh, Mama, I want a daddy. I pick Uncle Jules. The simplicity of it made my chest tight. In Ava's world, love was just a choice you made, not a risk you calculated. Over the months that followed, I learned to see through her eyes. Julian never pushed, never asked for more than I could give, but he was always there, steady, patient, real in a way that Matt's performance had never been. I've been thinking, I said one evening while we watched Ava play in the yard, about what you said that night after the kidnapping. He tensed slightly. We'd never discussed his confession. I'm not good at this, I continued. Trust, love. I analyze everything, wait for the betrayal. It's exhausting. Helena, let me finish. I took a breath. You've been in our lives for 2 years. You've bled for us, fought for us, waited for us, and I've given you nothing back but suspicion and walls. You've given me everything, he said quietly. Just being allowed in Ava's life, in yours, even at a distance, it's more than I hoped for. That broke something in me. This man who'd taken bullets and beatings, who'd saved my daughter, who'd waited patiently while I healed, he was grateful for scraps of affection. You deserve more, I said. So do you. We sat in silence, watching Ava chase fireflies. She looked so free, so unafraid. I wanted that for her always. But more than that, I wanted to show her that love didn't have to mean fear. I'm not proposing, I said suddenly. Just to be clear. Julian laughed, surprised. Okay? I mean, I am, but not, I'm doing this wrong. I turned to face him. You told me once that you wanted to earn the right to be in our lives. You have, 1,000 times over, but I need to earn something too. Helena, you don't owe me the right to be happy, I finished. The right to choose love over fear. To show my daughter that not everyone leaves, that not everyone lies. I took his hand. I'm not good at grand gestures, but I'm excellent at contracts. So here's my offer. Move in. Be Ava's father in all the ways that matter. Be my, whatever we decide to call it. And if you're still here in a year, if we haven't driven you crazy, then I'll do the proposing properly. He stared at me. Are you negotiating a relationship? I'm a businesswoman. It's what I do. What are the terms? I pretended to consider. You have to teach Ava to swim. She's terrified of water. You have to accept that I'll always double-check the locks and probably run background checks on her teachers forever. And I squeezed his hand. You have to forgive me for taking so long to see what Ava knew instantly. What's that? That you're not him. You're not any of them. You're the man who shows up. 6 months later, on a beach Ava had chosen for shells, I kept my promise. The proposal wasn't fancy. I literally got down on one knee in the sand while Ava shrieked with delight. You said a year, Julian laughed, pulling me up. I'm efficient, I said. Also, Ava threatened to propose herself if I waited any longer. It's true, Ava yelled, dancing around us. I was going to ask at Christmas. So? I asked, suddenly nervous. What's your answer? He kissed me instead of answering, and Ava threw shells in the air like confetti, yelling, I'm getting a daddy, to every seagull in hearing distance. At our small wedding in the pine forest, Ava served as flower girl, ring bearer, and official speech giver. She whispered to Julian as he slipped the ring on my finger. I told Mama you were our person. She just takes forever to figure stuff out. Hey, I protested softly. It's okay, Mama, she said, patting my hand. Uncle Jules is patient, and now he's not uncle anymore. He's daddy. Julian lifted her up, holding her between us as we were pronounced a family. Not perfect, not without scars, but choosing each other anyway. I'm going to tell the baby that Daddy is our superhero, Ava announced, patting my still flat stomach. We'd only told her that morning. Baby? Julian looked at me, eyes wide. I smiled, really smiled. Surprise, Ava wanted a sibling. I'm efficient, remember? He laughed, pulling us both closer. The most efficient queen I know. Former queen, I corrected. Now I'm just Helena, wife, mother, and finally, not afraid. The rain started then, soft spring drops through pine needles. But none of us moved. We stood there, the 3, almost 4 of us, letting it wash us clean.
No matter how deep is betrayal or how long you've been running, you deserve a life built on truth, not fear. Sometimes healing means letting someone in, and sometimes it means becoming the hero you never thought you'd need. What would you have done in my place?